So the Office of Farmland Preservation exists to help stem the loss of working lands across the state. Most recently, we've seen that we're losing about 450 acres a day of farmland. For Washington, that adds up over a 5-year time period to over 820,000 acres. That's 6% of our total land base. That's not something that we can sustain and continue to do in the future. So we need to find a better way to move forward. And the Office of Farmland Preservation is here to try to help find those ideas and move them forward. The Office of Farmland Preservation primarily uses 3 tools to do our work. Utilizing conservation easements through the FPLA and ACES program, facilitating the next generation getting on the farm. That happens in succession planning from the outgoing farmers, and it happens in innovative land access programs for incoming farmers. And then we also play a role in discussions on a local, regional, and state level around land use planning and how we can make sure that agriculture has a voice in that planning. Within the Office of Farmland Preservation are 2 main programs that we facilitate: the Farmland Protection and Land Access Program, the Agricultural Conservation Easement Sponsorship Program, FPLA and ACES for short. Those 2 programs both use conservation easements through different funding sources and different implementation to step in and preserve high-quality working lands. And so conservation easement ensures that the land is permanently available for agriculture by removing that potential ability to develop, mine, or otherwise use the property for non-agricultural purposes. So conservation easement, it is a purchase of real property rights. So we are stepping in and purchasing property rights and holding them in perpetuity. And the rights that we're purchasing, mineral rights, development rights, things like that, are going to be removed from the ownership structure that's going to be passed on. And those rights are going to be held in trust, whether it's by a land trust, or it's by the commission, or it's by a conservation district. Those are all eligible entities as our municipalities. FPLA happens for land that's on the market and is at risk of development into non-agricultural use, and it's a high-value land, high-value agricultural land. It steps in to be able to facilitate a buy, protect, sell program that's going to protect that land in perpetuity from non-agricultural use, and it's going to sell it to a new and beginning farmer who's historically disadvantaged in their access to capital. So while the FPLA program works with land that's at risk of transition into development, the ACES program works with farmers who are looking at their future and they want their land that they've spent their life or maybe many generations of their family on. They want to ensure that it stays in agriculture, and they're going to be the owners on the back end of this transaction. Where FPLA is in a transition of ownership and we're finding a new owner for that property, the ACES program is a continual ownership process where the same person that owned it at the start is going to own it at the end. If we do everything right, the way that they operate their farm doesn't change in that time. It's just their ability in the future to be able to develop the farm or use it for non-agricultural purposes is limited. So with both these programs, FPLA and ACES, they're both using the same tool. It's a conservation easement, which is a deed restriction that's going to remove any ability for the property to be used for non-agricultural purposes. When the land transfers to the next farmer, the ability to develop it, to mine it, to remove soil like sod farm won't exist on that property anymore. So we're trying to ensure that the agricultural integrity of the land is available in perpetuity.